Well, we are out here in the blackberry patch, and by blackberry patch I do mean my container blackberries, in case you're not familiar with what I have been doing for the last couple of years here, growing blackberries in containers. The blue containers are blackberries, and the orange containers are a different variety of blackberry. I really wasn't going to propagate any more. One of my viewers told me something he was going to do to try to propagate blackberries, and it just rung a bell with me. I said, why in the world did I think of that? And so this is what I'm going to do. I'll show you in a minute exactly how I'm propagating them, but first of all, I've got this one lateral. In fact, that's not a collateral, it's a cane. That's about, I don't know how I let it get that long. I guess it got hid in all the foliage when these were packed with foliage. Normally this wire right here on this trellis, and if you don't know what I'm talking about with a good, easy blackberry trellis, then check up in the right-hand corner right about now, and I'll link to that. But usually I let the blackberries get about 4 or 5 inches above the top wire of the trellis. This is a 2-wire trellis. And then I cut them off and let them begin to really start producing their laterals. So this one I did not do that. So I'm going to come in here and cut that cane off. And that is about 6 feet long. So I've got a lot of opportunity there if I don't hurt any of the nodes, and those nodes are real close together. So there'll be a lot of, should be a lot of places for them to root when I put them down in the growing medium. So there's one. I'll see if I can get one or two more. I think I spot 1 or 2 more real long canes. It's kind of good just to be out among the living again after COVID, and feeling pretty good. Still not filled with energy, but not feeling too bad. So this one is also 2 feet longer than what I really want it to be. So I'm gonna cut that off there, and that gives me about a 2-foot piece, maybe 3-foot piece to propagate. Now here is a lateral. This one right here is coming off this cane, and it's a lateral, so it's a very long lateral. So I'm gonna take it right about there. I'll leave that good lateral on top of that. That'll produce well this year. And I'm not pruning to be pruning. I'm pruning to get some cuttings to propagate for you. I don't need any more blackberries. You know, I will always want to have some around just in case one of these plants were to die, or 1 or 2 of them, whatever. That hasn't happened. They've been in these pots, I think I'm going into my 3rd year. But at some point, blackberries do have a lifespan. And at some point, they're going to start dying off. And I can replace them with some of the ones that I've propagated. So I'm not propagating for me as much as I am for, I've got a good neighbor that has been good to me. He's going to grow some of my plants this year, my vegetable plants. You know, I said I'm not out here pruning just to prune, but that one's dead, so I'm gonna take it out while I'm talking. Doing this kind of is an experiment for me, for you. And I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier, but let's go put them in their potting medium. It's a brilliant idea. Well, I didn't want to bore you with the actual making of the cuttings. It's not a big deal. Just these have a lot of nodes, have a lot of these little bumps, little places where a root's going to root or sprout. But what I always do is cut a bevel, an angle cut on one end, on the end that is going down. There's no other reason to do that I know of. I don't think it helps it root anymore or anything like that. It lets me know which way is down. It lets me know which is the bottom. You don't want to try to root that cutting like this. You want to grow the way it was growing on the plant, the mother plant. So I'm gonna go ahead and dip these in Dip and Grow, and I'll do that quickly. And not gonna bore you with that either, except to say that Dip and Grow is the solution, the rooting hormone that I prefer. and highly recommend it, really like it. But we'll dip them in here for about 5 seconds each. I won't bore you with the rest of this, but what we'll do is go put them in something that I never thought about doing before, and it's genius. Okay, so where am I going to propagate these? Well, one of my genius viewers suggested that he was going to use one of his wicking tubs to propagate blackberries or grapes. I don't remember what he was going to propagate. And I thought, for several reasons, that is just brilliant. I have a lot of brilliant viewers. You're probably one of them right there. So now why is that? What are some of the reasons? Well, unless you're growing a fall garden with some greens and some brassicas and carrots and things like that, and I'm not this year, I just got hit too hard with the COVID, but unless you're actively growing something in your wicking tubs, then these wicking tubs are just sitting here all winter long with nothing to do, right? So why not put them to work? And the second reason is when these are ready to repot, it'll be time to plant your spring vegetables in it. So you're not wasting any time, you're not wasting any space because the space is not being used anyway, at least in my case it's not. So anyway, and also the wicking tub is just so deep. If you want to get a long cut, that one right there is 14 inches long, 12, 14. And it may be that you want to do some real long cuttings, but I can go with that cutting. I really ought to get something to see just how far I can go down in there. Remember, I'm putting the beveled end down. I've got about 13 of these. And I've always told you, and I'll tell you again, as you're putting it in the ground, don't injure that growing tip there, that growing node, especially the first 2 or 3 that are sticking up above the ground. Those are the places you're going to want it to start growing. So I've got a flat top on that. I've got the bevel part here. I've got a flat top here, which gives me a little leverage to push it down in there and not damage that growing tip, any of those growing tips. I will have to water these in because this is just dry, just powder dry. I need to get some water in the reservoir. If I'm talking about wicking tubs, and some of you may be scratching your head and say, what the crap is a wicking tub? So let me explain it a little bit. I'll explain it by showing you a video, a playlist on me making these wicking tubs, but also just to let you know it's a tub, not just a tub with dirt in it and holes drilled in the bottom. It's got a water reservoir in the bottom, not holes. And because of that, it holds water. That water wicks up through the potting medium that you use. Some of these are a little thin. I wish they were a little thicker. I could push harder on them probably. But that's what a wicking tub is, and I really like them. I've been growing them for 2 years, and I've made I don't know. Well, you saw my blackberries. Those are all wicking tubs. The blue ones, the orange ones that I showed in the very beginning, those were all wicking tubs. This type of tub that wicks water from underneath. So anyway, I don't see any reason this would just not be marvelously successful. It's taking advantage of using something that does cost some money to make a wicking tub. You could probably use earth boxes for these, other containers for this, not just a wicking tub. A wicking tub is basically an earth box, just works really well. So look at my playlist on wicking tubs at the end of this video. I'll try to put that up there. I'll put it up there right about now also. I don't see any reason that this will not work really well. And unlike when you're doing them in a small pot, doing 15, 20 of them in a small pot, you have a lot of roots to detangle, because they're all going to be all tangled up as you bunch them up a little closer. These are spread out so far that that shouldn't be a problem. So when these are ready in a month or two and I'm ready to use this for something else, then I'll come in here and just dig around it with a little hand trowel and pull up as much of that dirt as I can and put it in a pot and put these in individual pots. But this is just a great use of this when it's not being used, you know, wintertime. So I'm gonna get these watered in, and I'm gonna make sure that, you know, my wicking tub is, my reservoir is full underneath. So I'll water it until I see it coming out of the weep hole on the side. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're just gonna have to watch that video about how to make these and how they work. But this should be a really, really, really good idea. And I appreciate it. If I can figure out who told me to do this, I'll give you some credit, but I'm afraid I can't. So, you know, I'll show you the end result in about a month or two. And I think you and I both gonna be pleasantly surprised. What a great idea. And I'm about out of great ideas. So, all right, we're gone.